What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, and it's Saturday, so it's time to go over some more amazing community designed exotic weapons in Destiny. Now, this series is made possible by the artist Benjamin Radiman, who makes these amazingly realistic exotic weapon concepts. Now, the ideas actually from this video came from the comment section of last week's video, so this is a great opportunity to get a concept created if you've always had an exotic idea that you think would be a fantastic addition to Destiny. Now, the artist Benjamin Radiman's art station is linked in the description down below, so I'd recommend you check that out after the video. There's a lot more information on all the guns we're showing today, including more of their perks, their backstories, and additionally there's some more exotic concepts that didn't make it into this video, and there's even speed builds showing how he actually makes the guns. Now again, the designs for the different weapons being shown in this video came from the Cactus HD community, so if you want a chance to submit your idea for an exotic weapon, wait until the end of the video where I'm going to go over the proper format and some tips for getting selected. Now it's time to go over the exotic concepts, and we're going to start out here with the Savior of the Gap exotic shotgun concept by Wyatt Duncan. Now, firstly, I love the look of this weapon. It's got, pieces missing out of it, it's got scratches, it's battle worn, and I like to see those type of guns in Destiny. The Red Death is a great example. You can kind of tell that, the Red Death has seen some shit. It's actually one of the weapons that has seen combat in Destiny. Some of the weapons look a little bit, too clean, and I would like to see more weapons kind of like this, battle scarred, like remnants of ancient wars. Now, the exotic perk for this shotgun would be called We've Come in Peace. Kills with this weapon will increase range for 5 seconds by about 3%. Stacks up to 6 times, which is 15% increase to range. Now, of course, the first concern when you have a shotgun and anything to do with increasing the range is that you're worried it might be a little overpowered. However, as long as this gun fits into a lower damage archetype, which there often is in Destiny, and those lower damage shotguns, they usually have lower damage and they shoot faster to compensate, they're very rarely used in PvP. The PvP scenarios really prefer the one-shot kill shotguns like the Fellwinter. But if this was in the lower damage category, but then it got the bonus for range, I don't see this really being overpowered. It would be hard to get the first few kills because you don't have substantial range, but if you start getting a kill streak rolling, then you can kind of really start getting some pretty substantial snipes with this weapon. And remember, the bonus only lasts 5 seconds, and in fact, I would actually say that it could be increased and last even longer, and perhaps even increase the range by more of a percent and still remain not overpowered. I also think this might be even more useful in a PvE environment where you have a much greater chance to go on a kill streak because there's so many more enemies. Now, moving along, the next exotic concept we're going over is the Desert Fox exotic auto rifle concept. Now, the special ability of this weapon would make it so that if you crouch while using the Desert Fox, the shots fired from it won't actually show up in the radar. Oh, and you'll turn invisible. Now, there's a few things I like about this idea. The first one is that it plays around with the crouch mechanic. There really isn't too many guns in the entire game that have messed around with this mechanic, other than pretty much, something like the Hereafter, where you zoom down sights more when you crouch, and that's pretty useless. This would actually be a pretty substantial ability and would actually make you want to crouch more often. Now, I also like the idea of a stealthy gun, of the bullets not appearing on the radar when you shoot it if you are crouched. The thing I'm not so sure about is the whole invisibility factor. Giving a player invisibility for simply crouching with this weapon, that is an unbelievably powerful advantage. However, there are some things that can be done to balance it. You can say that you only get the invisibility effect, while you're not moving and while you remain crouched, and if you move, it'll go away, or it lasts for just a few seconds, enough to trick someone. If you're running behind a corner and someone's chasing you, you can crouch, disappear, and they'll run around the corner, not see you, and keep running, and then you can ambush them, but most of the time it's not going to last long enough for any sort of noticeable increase in your survivability. In any event, it's a very interesting idea, and I like the concept of it. I'm not sure if it would be balanced within the game, but heck, it's a concept video, so why not bring it up? The next exotic concept we're going over is another exotic auto rifle, the Big Bad Wolf concept by Solomon Kane. Now this weapon has a very interesting exotic perk, and it would rely on the shield that you can see it with. This weapon, as long as you're aimed down sights, it'll actually absorb 10% of incoming damage. Additionally, the shield of this gun will also actually be the element of whatever subclass you are. So if you're a Sunbreaker Titan, it will be a fire element, and it will absorb an additional 1% of the damage of that element. So if someone shoots you with a fire sniper rifle, it's going to absorb 11% of that damage. Now that ability might not sound that substantial. I mean, it's only when you're aiming down sights, and even then it's only 10%. But 10% really matters because you might be within 1 damage of taking an entire extra shot to kill an enemy. Certain scout rifles, certain weapons within Destiny actually do pretty much exact damage. Their damage will add up to 200 or 201 a lot of the time, and so it'll just barely kill enemies in the shots that it does. And absorbing 10% of that damage can require an entire another shot to kill a Guardian, which can sway gunfights in your favor, definitely in PvP. And that's where I see this gun being used. In PvE, that isn't that amazing of an ability. It is definitely still going to be useful, especially actually, I wonder if this gun was ever introduced, how many things kill you with like exact damage? Like if you were in King's Fall and the Oculus exploded, if you aim down sights with this gun, would you survive? Like there'd be a bunch of really interesting scenarios in PvE, but I mostly again see this as a PvP weapon. The next concept we're going over is the Tenebrous Temper status exotic rocket launcher concept. Now the exotic perk for this weapon would be called Dark Storms. Reloading this weapon causes a lightning strike to hit you, which does no damage to you, but does do a lot of damage to nearby enemies. Cluster rockets from this weapon also have a 50% chance of creating lightning strikes where they land. So initially when firing the weapon, you pretty much have a normal rocket launcher where the cluster bomb doesn't suck. It actually does some extra damage because you have some lightning strikes coming around where you've shot it. And also, I think the really interesting part of this is that you get the lightning strike when you reload the weapon. That can again damage nearby enemies and perhaps kill them if they're close enough. That is really interesting, and that puts a whole new dynamic on the use of this rocket launcher. If you have an enemy coming at you, maybe you're going to rush towards him now and try to reload when he's right beside you. Hide behind a corner, wait for him to come around, and try to get him in that reload. Because when you're utilizing a rocket launcher, and if you're caught reloading, they often take a while to reload, and it can be a really dangerous situation. But now, considering you can actually kill an enemy by reloading, that's just such an interesting dynamic. You're going to maybe want to save your reload, try to bait enemies. It's just going to be very interesting. Now the last exotic concept we're going over today is the First to Fight exotic auto rifle by Peta Kuhn. Now there's actually 2 exotic perks that come with this weapon, and you'll have to choose one or the other. Firstly, there's First to Fight. Getting the initial shots on an enemy increases movement speed for 5 seconds. Or you can select Last to Leave. Getting the killing blow on an enemy raises recovery to max for 3 seconds. And I've said this before in previous videos, but I always love the perks that give you the ability to choose between different things. That's been done somewhat in Destiny, but I feel nowhere near as much as it should be. And this is a perfect example. Which one would you pick? Just being able to shoot an enemy, and remember, not kill him. There is so many times when you're in Destiny, in PvP especially, where you shoot an enemy and they run away. They just disappear, you get one shot on him and he blinks away or whatever happens, but you don't kill them. But then automatically, just by getting those few shots on that guy without killing him, you still get a huge boost to movement speed for 5 seconds. That is pretty useful. Additionally, every time you kill an enemy, you're going to get max recovery for 3 seconds. That's very useful, and that really goes into survivability. So which one would you pick? For me, I honestly don't know. I think it would depend on my build, and I can see me using different characters, using different builds, different weapons, and actually switching between these 2 exotic perks, depending on what scenario I'm in. And that degree of flexibility is something that Destiny definitely needs to kind of play with more when they introduce more exotics eventually into the game. Now that's going to be it for the exotic concepts shown this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, if you take the time to leave a comment, please remember to also support this video by simply rating and sharing it. Now, if you have an awesome idea for an exotic that you'd like to see a concept made for it, what you simply need to do is reply to one of the comments I will leave in the comment section of this video. It'll say, put your exotic idea here, and it's also going to list kind of the requirements or at least recommendations for what you should include in your submission. If you follow that, that's going to really help your submission along. Additionally, a huge tip I have for you guys is two things. Firstly, you need to consider if your idea is overpowered. Not everything can just, shoot an enemy and do more damage all of a sudden. That's not a good idea. Shooting an enemy, getting a precision shot, and then getting an overshield, that's overpowered and that's been kind of done already. You need to make sure your idea is fresh and unique. And again, not overpowered. Now, one more thing, the comment thread actually fills up with the 500 reply limit extremely fast. If that happens, I'll come back to the comment section and make another comment as quickly as possible. If there isn't one, just tweet me and I'll get it done very soon. Now that's it for the video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to support this series. Now if you want to see more Destiny content and make sure you don't miss out on next week's video, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Additionally, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.